Well, welcome to the Dream Labs. I'm Dr. Contrast, and we're live. It's going to be a lot of fun today. I thought we'd take a moment here and just introduce what we're going to try and go run through today with a series of little thumbnail sketches, so some ideation studies. And I think based on a couple last streams or so, we had more of a mechanical process in terms of putting proportions other for automobile design. So I thought we'd kind of put together a nice little, what I refer to as a very lucid series of lucid marker sketches, a little bit of media added on just some very simple product forms here. So hopefully we'll kind of get these started. And what I want to concentrate on this stream today is just how very lucid you can become working with marker and so forth. It's a very difficult, I think for many, including self, a very difficult media to work with often. It can get away with you very quickly, but I think if you treat it more like a wet pencil and become more sketch rendering related with it, you're in much better shape. So I'm going to go through some really rapid, very lucid sketches as stated before. And the idea here is to get the technique down on how to latch onto saturation processing, and how to stain certain things in, and just get the essence of the form down and let the paper do the working for us as we've done in some of the past streams. So let me get started here. I've already got some line drawing started, and the reason I do that is because these are initial sketches with ballpoint pen, and the problem with that, when you run, for example, ink over some of the Copic ink over some of the pen marker, it just kind of runs on you. It turns really kind of a bleedy, purplish color. It doesn't stay clean at all. So let me run through these very quickly, and we'll have some conversation hopefully at the end of it all. And you'll see, for example, what I'd like to have you concentrate on is how rapidly you begin to move through shape and form, and begin to illustrate them and tell a story. And I think the most important aspect of this whole stream today will be the following: is that each simple form has its own constitution. So when you understand what the shapes are doing, it makes it a whole lot more manageable to go in and be very efficient with them and not fill them all in and let the paper do the work for us. So it's all form related, but it's also light source related, line weight, saturation, color and tone, all those things happen together. But let's just see if we can get started here. Let's move in here, and we'll start putting some what I want you to notice is hand gesture, the rapid approach to stating some of these shapes in, and let's just get started. Just going to come back in and hit this guy, and that's some light neutral sourced. Come back in, just to stripe it through. Pardon me as I just move the paper around a little bit. Get some of these elements to come in. Just blinking it in here. Solid shape coming back into the form. Lining it up just a bit. Changing pace here just for a moment. Go right down here. And a nice little dark core to come in here to work, kind of separate this shape here. Get that started. Rotate again. Pardon me. As I've said before too, a lot of streams, working with media like this, it always begins with, for example, it starts with drawing, begins with drawing, and it ends with drawing. So we can get a lot of detail down here, and we're going to put this into some sort of context. Get that started. Let's get the lens lighting here, this little surface here, to work with this guy. Stand it just a bit more. There it is. A little bit of sky tone on this guy, just a touch to hit it, warm it up a bit. There it is. Back in through here, and we're just going to get back to a little bit of ballpoint pen work here to kind of straighten some of this stuff up. A little bit of a core color in there. Just going down to about a number 3, 2-3 gray. Just tone this down. The cylindrical form underneath there. A little more tone to it. Again, the same thing in here in the lens. The glass surface, just a bit more touch in here. Down through here. And let's see if we can get one more little pass here to kind of a number down to about a 3. A little more core underneath this guy. That's better. A bit of shadow. And again, same process. A little bit more animation in there. It almost looks like a sketch rendering exercise, which basically is what it really is, what it comes down to. There it is, there it is, and again, there's a little quick study. I'm just getting that all put together here. And that's basically, and that's how it starts. And we'll go back in here and we'll go through this whole process again. We'll just go one right after the other and get these tones in place. And we'll start putting it all together for you here. I'm just going to move the paper a touch. And we're just kind of get the basic large surfaces in place. Stone through it. A little bit more animation in that shape. It's going to get the basic forms in first. Let's run that through. Get that curl through here. Come back in again. Get a little bit of the paper come, either highlight on this side of it here. Again down below. Get that in place. Get that through just a touch. Come back in again with one more pass. A little more tone to it. See how that saturation changes when you add that second pressure? It makes a huge difference when you put that second little piece of pressure in place. It really kind of helps to get more animation without adding a lot of real content or deep color here. Let's get a little bit of an edge on this thing. A little bit of here. Let's get that in place. Underneath here, let's get the base set up. Go through it. A very simple, quick, empathic sketch here. And this guy to read. And again, just a bit more depth on this side. Take that through. Again, a little bit of shadow in here. I don't want to go that deep with it. Let's kind of take this back. A little bit of shadow on the lighting system into that process here. So let's kind of get this thing here. Open this up. And again, down the other side here. And again, underneath, just a touch more of that, and then a bit of animation in that form. So just let that kind of slip through. There we go. Get that shadow a little bit more tone to it. Let's get this guy. Let's get the lighting sequence in. Let's get that shell across the top of this thing to give a little more impact to it. More across the top. And the far side shell, and then that lighting process will sit inside that area here. Just gonna get this to kind of move more, just a touch more depth underneath here, more definition in that little area here that might rotate the light itself. Kind of come around here. And let's get this sequence in place here. And there it is. It's going to kind of run right through this with a nice little, again, telling where the light source is coming from. And then just a little bit more of that, come into it, and down here. Reflect some of that back into it. And again, just rotate this out. And one more passing through here. Get that to tone a little bit more. Then a sky underneath this thing, just to warm it up a bit. There we are there. A bit here. And in the form. And again, second little sketch here, just putting this form together. And just gonna go back into this guy. And we'll just go right down. Let's just treat each one of these and come back and then maybe add some finesse as we begin to wrap them up here just a bit. Oh, pardon me, get that. Yeah, there it is. All right. Let's get this down. Oh, and the light source. Bit of maybe a nesting plate for this piece to sit in. And that's that. Down to base again. A little highlight on the corner. Run that through. So we get that back into place. There it is right there. Turn this aside just a bit. Rotate the other way. Get this on the side piece in here. Get the base established. And come right back in. Fill it in. A little bit of reflected light in there. A little bit more animation. Oops, let me get back on the screen here. There we are. More tone change. A bit more drama there. Now let's get this upper piece in place here. Back in here and get this guy to really crank for us here. Across that highlight. Let that run through. And back in again, light source. Cross that highlight in there. Again, come back to a lighter base on this thing. Come back into this beauty. You know, just touch a little bit of where the lighting system is, where the actual lens is. There it is there on that side. There it is on that side. A little bit of highlight there. And just a touch of a shadow in there, to let you know that it's got a cantilever at the top of this piece. We'll leave a little bit of airspace in there. A little bit of shadow. Again, more of that in there. Take that lightest gray and come back in here and just put that base in place. Reflect this shape back into it. Again, 3 out of 4 here. Let's go to the last one here. Get this last one down. Take a little bit of this into this area here. See if that little thin plane to come through. A divider holder. Again, that same process here. Let's get that lens in place right away here. Get this beauty up on top. Notice. A little bit of a bevel there, so it'll break just slightly. Now go a little lighter. And that ends it there. Just get a little bit deeper. And we'll come back in through here. Same process with about a number 3 gray. Follow that light source right through. Just a touch of that coming across that form. And again, away from the light source now it really drops away. So we'll just kind of ink that in and then again reflect it. Get this started here. Maybe a little more shadow reflection on top of this thing. There it is. Bring it across. And take this base. Let's put a little solid on this guy. A little deeper. A little bit of highlight in between. Highlight in between. Get that base. There it is. Hey, Andres, how are you? Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. How about you? Doing good? We're just doing some really quick exercises here, Andres, and just maybe some potential lighting studies. I'm just going through some marker technique work, nice and simple, nice and easy, kind of keeping it very fluid. Just quick little rapid sketches, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us here. Just kind of bringing some things in here. Get that all set. And again, a little bit of highlight again to separate one shape to the other. Bring that back in place here. Let's just take this guy and go to about a number 2 gray. And just, there it is over here. a little bit too gray, and we're just kind of fill in the base. The light source again, coming in from over here. So we're just going to tone this in and scape it back. And that's that. There we go. So a little sketch tone here. Hey, that's good. I'm glad you're doing well, Antares. That's very cool. So it's good to have you on board again. A little bit of background work here. Let's take a peek at some of this stuff. Just kind of tone some things in here. A little bit of relationship with some of the plaiting in the background here. And that. And a little bit of this. Kind of bring the shapes together a little bit here. Kind of can blend them in. And this guy here. Let's get that back in place here. Let's get a little bit of that done. A little bit of tone back in through here, just to kind of give it more impact to it, away from the light source. Kind of kink that in a little bit. And there it is, a little bit up on top. Run that through. There's a little vignette series of sketches here. Looking at what those just really quick, lucid marker forms are doing for us here. Boy, I'm losing my voice. Pardon me here. A little bit of a reflection. Let's get this guy to reflect a bit more. Right back into that base. And that's about what we've got there. And there you go. One plate here to go with. Let's just do this. Get this guy all lined up here. So there's plate number one. Just looking at very quick little studies here about how things come together with just a little bit of marker and technique. Very lucid, really rapid sketches here. So what do you think, Antares? Making sense? It's good to have you on board, sir. Obviously very, very good to have you on board. Let's hang out a minute here for a little bit of response if you've got the time to do so. And while you're doing that, I'm going to come back in and just pick up maybe a little bit of this. A little bit of color added. An off button of some sort. Here we are. There we go. There you go. So far, so good. There's one. Let's kind of put them together here. Just nice, simple, clean form studies. Nothing elaborate. Just going through some really interesting shapes here. Getting it all put together. As there's second piece that's in place here. Let's come back in and just start from. And I always like to do this too, if it helps you, Antares. I mean, I really, I'm a big believer in going from light to dark. So I take this marker stuff and I just bleach it in, and then put the surfaces in, and I come back in and begin to just develop, and begin to tighten up some of the shapes that are working with it here. So I think light to dark is great because you can actually see where the values are coming into across, where to place the emphasis, where to leave things alone, where to add some things. It makes a huge difference. So let's kind of go back in here, same process. Let's take the conical form. Let's come right around the shape here. Ride that through, bring it right up into the light source, take that across, again, over the top of this plate, a little bit of this here, bring that into play, just staining it in. Now, let's get that plate in here, let's get the actual lens itself in place. Again, this guy. A little bit more depth in this thing. Let's get more of that light reflection in the top of that lens area here. And a bit more of an accent across this front side here. Just the angle of that stroke tells me where that light source is coming from. Edge break. Again, dark. Back to reflected light. So there's sketch number one. Let's put a little bit more detail back in this guy right here. There she is. Now let's go back into this guy. So coming along here. Remember learning halfway to black is a base. Yep, halfway to black is a good one. That's a good call there. And Terrace, nice. It's going to get this laid in here. Let's get this number 3 gray. Yeah, there it is. Let's put a bit of tone up on top here. Surface underneath here. This platform to work. And again, base. Number 5 here. And let's see, back to be my number 2 gray. There it is, I think. Yep. Let's put those down for a second. A little more core. You'll notice how rapidly I'm working with this to get these shapes to kind of read in there and actually just putting it all together. So hopefully this is helpful here. It's a little more shadow. Let's go a little more reflection in this thing here. Just kind of take a little bit of shadow into that. Yeah, that's better. Take that a little into it. You got it? Now let's come back into this beauty and we'll just come right up along this shape here. Come back and develop some stuff as we go here. Into form, which tells me it's round. Keeping it nice and light and easy. Bring that shape in. Take this shape and put a little more mystery to it. Back stand. Let's get this into place here. Take the number 4 gray, fill this in. Lightest gray, tone that in. On-off switch, get that up in place here. And we'll come back in with that little bit of lens color here, trim. A lot of depth down below. And just a touch of it up on top. And we're just going to reflect that guy a little bit here by adding in maybe a little bit of 4, just to kind of give a little bit of tone to it. There it is, a little thumbnail sketch there in a side view. We come back in here, we put a little bit of tone in this guy. This little thumbnail sketch here. It's sort of real simple. Sketch definition here. In the lighting area, it's a simple little form, and we'll take this in and come back to about a number 3 and just tone that in. A little bit of highlight. And one last shot here. A little more definition down below. And last but not least, set this back in the screener. Sorry about that. Let's get this down. Number 3 gray. Number 1 gray. Got to fill in some of the blanks here. Real easy, nice and simple. Not a lot of push, just looking at really quick ideation sketches. That's it. Let's kind of get back in through here. And we'll add a little bit of knurling on this guy. How's that? And we'll put that lens in place. Coming back in here, get that light blue, sky tone, get the lens in place here. And just a little bit of a seam line in here. Let's let that kind of read a little bit. And again underneath here. And just a bit of a shadow across the sky. And one last pass here. On number 3 gray. Pull this in. And there it is, a little family of forms there. This very quick little, here it is, just really interesting how to put it all together. Let me stop for a moment here. So yeah, it's cool how you use the marker to kind of outline it. Yeah, it's almost like a gesture setup. As I said, when I began the stream, and Terrace, I mentioned the fact that these sketches are going to be very lucid, very quick, almost animated ideation sketches. Letting a lot of paperwork through it, just doing some thumbnail studies, and using a marker as almost like a wet pencil, just sketching through them and getting the surface to read. I hope they're working for you. Is that making sense? I hope. Let me go back and put a little bit of background work in here. Just kind of put a little bit of family of forms together here. Go to that one. Go to this one. And probably, just for what it's worth, get a little bit of this in place too. Tie these two together. And last but not least, a little bit of scallop right down here, and just let it fade. And there it is. There's plate number 2. Just really quick little sketch studies here. Gesture, just very, very quick. You know, you're right, Antares, very gestural. And maybe I should explain something here. I failed to mention at the beginning of the stream. Whenever I do a lot of like exploratory sketches to put like a composition or a program together for one of my clients, I work just like this, really lucid, very quickly first. Go through a whole series of variations, then begin to pick hopefully the best of the best, and begin to put those together for the first pass of sending it out to individuals that I've been working with. And it's been a lot of fun because it keeps you away from trying to be so pressure-ridden to get the thing right. You're looking at themes first, narrowing it down, picking the best of the best, and going from there. So there's 2. Lots of fun. Just nice and simple and quick. Let's go to a third plate here. Boy, pardon me. Really having a hard time with my voice today, so pardon me if I'm constantly clearing my throat here. So plate number 3, just the same set of circumstances. Let's come right back in and get this thing really boldly put together here, rapidly. I think 2 forms here that are very, very, these are very round organic shape. So how do you treat that? Let's say the light source is coming in from the left-hand side. Boy, pardon me, again, it's horrible. Not a problem. You come back in and right across that shape, work right into the form itself. Stain it in, a little more pressure. Come underneath there. Same thing again. Right down that body form. Stain it in. And you've got half of it pretty well set up. Let's come back in. Let's come down the values line here. Number 2. A little bit more tone to it. A bit of shadow definition, perhaps. Set this is in the right place. There we go. Now let's go down the value line here again. About a number 3 gray. Get that all set up. No, it's light. Now to dark. Let's ink that in. Then we're going to write down that highlight and just put a little bit of an edge in this guy. A little more shadow underneath that form. Let's get this in place now. Let's take that line and bring it right up underneath there. Tighten it down just a bit more. There it is, shadow underneath here. Let that fly through. More definition here. And just building the shapes. Following that same highlight pattern. There it is. That. Now, so we need to put the boldness to it now. Shadow underneath. And notice, I want you to notice here how I left a little bit of paper in here. That's for that radius that's just going to turn for us on this here. Let's get that lighting in place here, and we're going to work from there. There it is. Going to come back up and through here. Again, away from the light source, tone, tone, touch. Let's go back to this guy here. Get this guy a little blinked in. And put those right there. Let's get that one more pass in here. Get that shape to come underneath here just a bit more. There it is. Let that blend into that. And there's that form. Let me just put this down here. And maybe about a number 4 gray. Kind of bring this in. More definition away from the things here. A little bit of highlight up on top of this, down through here. And there's an overhead study there. There it is there. So let's come back in through here. Let's get this guy cranking away here. Put a number 4 gray in this beauty. Let's get this highlight to run right through here. It's got that. Let's get the rest of that shape in just a bit. There we go. Moving very quickly. Just going to get the character down here. A little bit of tone, we'll get that in place. On and off switch here. I'm just going to get this guy tuned in. Oh, wrong one. There it is. And let's put a little bit of reflection on this guy. Just real subtle. And so a little bit of hot spot here. Tell us where the and add a little bit of this to it. I think we got it. There's two. It's this guy. Let's get this lens in place real quick like lightning here. Done. There it is. Underneath. And let's move this paper just a bit here for a second. Thank you. Three, there it is. Rotate this paper just for a second here. Okay, a little more shadow underneath here. I think we're home. And there it is. Little studies here. Oh man, I missed a question. Sorry about that. And Tara says you can get quite a range of value out of the same marker just by very. Yeah, I think that was the intent of the great commentary there, Antares. That was one of the real primary reasons for putting together this program here, just doing these thumbnail sketches, is by changing pressure, you can take about a number 3 grade and get it down to number 5. Just one over the other, one over the other, one over the other. It just really begins to take a lot of tremendous change of pace. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go 2 on top of 2 on top of 2 and get down to a 4. So you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Just get your opinion on this, Terrace. I think I'm going to do here in the next couple of weeks is put together a real quick little thumbnail series on my stream about technique and marker technique, hand gestures, pressure changes, things of that nature. Do you think that'd be helpful? I think that would be a good range of things to get into, no question, I believe. So, while you're doing, if I get a response from you, great, and I'll just kind of fill in some of the blanks here with this last little thumbnail study here. Keep it all basically value related. How very gesture you can get with just one simple color here. Put a shadow underneath this thing, keep it nice and simple. Fills that in along the highlight, get that in place, and through here, just a little bit of value change. Let me rotate the paper just for a second. I'll bring it right back to normal here and bring that around. Got it. And now we'll do this. We'll come right back up on top here with a nice little, just a little bit of simple lens change here. And I think we've got it. Light source, light, dark. A little bit of color added here, a little bit of highlight. There it is. Sketches. Now, I think, oh, great. I think, you know what, I really appreciate that answer, Terrace. I think it would be really beneficial to see just, I mean, I'm not an expert at it, don't misunderstand, but I think there are little techniques that changes with how to work with, for example, how to work with marker, where to lay the pressure, how to put the hand gesture down, how to pull back, pressure on, pressure out. And then staining systems are just absolutely marvelous. So I am going to do that, and thank you for the confirmation. So let's kind of put a little bit of background tone in here. And we'll get this guy moving. Going to another study. That into this. And into this. And a little bit of fade here. Just going to fill out the composition. There it is. It's just a nice little checkerboard series here. I'll put this together, and I think I got my, yeah, here it is. And then it's another study here. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and Terrace. I just really appreciate you joining on forces here with today. Just really cool stuff. So what do you think? Making sense? Any questions or any commentary about what we're going through thus far? Again, it's not a very romantic set of circumstances. It's not, but I think it's fundamentally necessary to go back and look at some of these technique systems we've been working with over the past few weeks, or even years, and how to get it all put together, how to really illustrate some of these shapes that we're dealing with. It's just really kind of an interesting set of circumstances to deal with. So I think, I just think technique-wise, it would be absolutely really neat to spend a little bit of time doing some of this really cool stuff in terms of putting together what it takes to kind of get marker systems down and keep the paper animated and be very magical and lucid in your sketches. So let me move along here in this last little study, and we'll put some pieces together here for you. Let's do this. Let's kind of get right back in there and get some of these guys put together here. So let's go back in. Lens up on top. Done. Lens up on top. There it is there. This guy paper just a bit here. Sorry, there's commentary there. I really like to hear tricks and tips. Well, that's we're going to try and go through the next couple exercises. I think that would really be a good thing to kind of look at. I think, Menteros, I really appreciate your input and getting that clarified. That could be really cool. Real light value again, reflected light, surface, into the light source. As you move toward it, animate it. Come back in again. A little bit of paper, highlight, stain it in. Let's get a little bit more of that in here. In through here, just for number 2 gray. Number 1, yep. One more pass here. There it is. Number 1 grade, just washing this in. Number 3 gray and get a little bit of shadow across underneath that little offset is. And if I can find the thread, there it is. And we'll bring this back up on the screen here. There it is, right there. Bring this on out of the way a little bit. Straighten this pad up a bit, and we'll kind of wrap it up as we go here. Oh, question again. I tend to just render things mechanically like I'm a computer. I'll try out the man. Well, I think you've got a good start at it, though, Antares. I mean, your process is going to be fine. I think that the idea is to get me a little quicker with it, take some chances with it, and if you make mistakes, that's where the miracles might live. So I think that's going to be really healthy all the way around for you. I go through that thing. I mean, I go through this stuff and just cross your fingers that it all begins to work. But nonetheless, if you don't take those chances, I think you'll see if you quicken your work a little bit. And I'll say this very respectfully. If you quicken your work, you're going to see an awful lot of changes in terms of being able to see shape and form, be more unique, a little fresher. It opens things up that you never begin to imagine. So I think it's a really positive thing to deal with here. So let me just go back in here and get a more tone to work with here. Let's go right back down with that sharper input here. A little more detail and a little more shadow. And again, leaving just a little bit of highlight on the outside there. And one more pass with that number 3 gray. There it is. Kind of tone it back just a bit. There we go. And into that. Go sideways just a bit here. Work toward the center of that cone. Come back and clean up the shapes. Run that through just a touch. More pressure. Same thing here. And we'll come back in here and just make some changes tone-wise. The initial staying in. Back in there with number 4. Blank it in just a touch. Blend it. Again, bring it in again. Now take it through. Back in here, define that edge a little bit more. And there it is. Dropping a number 2 gray here and get this guy to read, hopefully. Bring that highlight right through, follow that highlight, that form, bring it around the shape. A little more core in that undercut there, just a touch more. Let's get that set up. And a highlight, run that right through just a bit. And one more pass right about there with a number 5. There it is. With a shadow drop and highlight. There it is. What do you think, gang? There it is, Centaurus. Hey, Lunar, how are you? Good to have you. It's good to see you again. How's everything, Lunar? Have you been doing well? Thank you for joining forces here today, and just went through a series of little animated sketches on some lamping studies, just really quick little gesture studies. But thank you so much for joining us today. I'm glad you're with us. Hope this has been helpful to you. Just wrapping some things up here as we go down the line, and we'll come back in and just pick up some little tone work here. And that about concludes it right there. So that's the last study we'll do here for time's sake here. I don't want to bore you to death, but nonetheless, really appreciate the fact you've been on board here today. And Lunar, it's great to have you back on board again. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Let me go run down the line here. And we'll start from, let's see, 1, 2, let's go right down the series of sketches we did. And while we go through that, I'm going to really illustrate the fact that these sketches were done today. The purpose of the stream was to get into ideation studies quickly, lucidly, and with an awful lot of just really gesture in terms of getting the marker down and not being concerned about being perfect with it, but to animate it to get to place and saturating, for example. And I mentioned earlier on in the stream, Lunar, next week or two, I think I might just go ahead and compose it next week, put a script together on marker technique, hand methods, gesturing methods, what to look at, how to create, how to maybe illustrate shapes and forms from the 5 solids and begin to put together a piece. Here's the solids, here's the actual product. All begins to work here. So let me walk you through some of these very rapid sketches here, just conceptual ideation sketches for potential desk lamps. That was the first one we did. And we went through again. Notice as you go through these sketches, how quickly and how lucid they are. They're not perfect. They're not intended to be. They're just looking for ideas. And they're going through. And when I work with my clients, I'm always really lucid in terms of the first pass are always sketches like this. Just really looking, just very, very lucid sketches and looking for what ifs to kind of deal with it. So there's number 1. Then we went to the second plate, which is another family of forms, just very simple shapes. Looking at concept work, just laying it all down, working with volumes, working with light, working with, again, the marker technique, and using it to its fullest advantage. Not filling it all in, letting a lot of paperwork and being very lucid. Sketch 2. Into sketch 3. Again, same family of forms, looking at different shapes and how they begin to work and function, and looking at ideas and just taking advantage of very simple yet powerful approaches to media technique. Marker can be extremely intimidating, but I've always treated this, and Sid Mead said it best when I was in school. He said that when you work with a marker, think of it as a wet pencil. That's all it is. How to tone in, how to tone out, pressure in, pressure out. Those things we're going to talk about hopefully in another week or so. I put together a little script for a stream on how to get that technique together. So here we go, last sketch we just did. A series of different volumes, looking at certain shapes and how they begin to function and what they do for us. And I really do appreciate the fact that you all have been on board here today. I hope it's been as exciting for you in learning some things as much as it has been for me. I always learn something when I go through a process like this. Never ceases to amaze me. If you're really conscious of it, how much you can get done with so very little. And I think that's the idea. Every time I put together a stream, my number one objective for you and the audience is to be very efficient with what you do. And not perfection, but efficient. There's nothing greater than being efficient, because if you become efficient, the more you work with the efficiency, the greater your strength of your renderings are going to become. It all works together, gang. So once again, thank you for the time today. And Terrace and Lunar, thank you so much for joining us. And great to have you on board. I'll be back in next Wednesday, hopefully, with a little bit of technique work on marker technique. And we go from there. That'll be really a lot of fun for me to put together. Hope this has been enjoyable for you. Please visit my website at drcontrast.com and take a peek at that. And also, if you have any notes or things that you want to send me, please drop me a note at jim@drcontrast.com. And by the way, and Terrace, I did receive your email on the platform work you did, and I responded, but it bounced back on me. Did you receive that at all or not? Are you still with me? Hopefully you received that one I resent. I'll wait for a response here. I really hope so. Did you have? Yes, I did get your email. And as I said just a moment ago, great work. When I responded, and then here this morning I came in the office and it looked like it was bounced. I don't know why, but I'll look into it here. But did you get my response or not? Hopefully that's the case. Hope. I did not get you. Okay. Let me tell you what, if you didn't get that, and Terrace, I'll make sure, when we're done here today, I'll go back into my files and reissue that and make sure but I did respond to your initial email. Great work. I mean, you started nicely. Oh, you see it now? Great. Thank you very much. I'm glad we had a chance. I'm very sorry for the late response and getting back with you. Had a couple things to take care of over the last few days since we chatted last, but I'm glad you got it, and I really want to thank you for taking the time to do that. The work was great. You've got the platform down, and I made some notes in there about how to take advantage of that platform once you begin to work with it. So thank you so much, all of you. And again, visit my website, drcontrast.com. Lunar, thanks again for joining us. Great to have you on board. Hope to see you next week on this technique work. Drop me a note at jim@drcontrast.com if I can be of any help to you. Really looking forward to that. And above all else, never, ever forget the fact. Dare to be great, because you are. Thanks very much, gang. Take care and have a great week. Bye-bye.